Hi guys, welcome back to Miss Niecy Was Just Thinking. If you notice, we're in a new surrounding. It's been a while since we've been with you guys, but I'm very happy to be back and taping the story of our American family. The African American family is what we're telling the story of, just our own story. Last time you saw us, we were in a different house. We purchased a new home, so we're getting settled in now. So that was part of the reason for the delay. The other reason was some technical difficulties I had. So I'm really excited to be back and taping again and can't wait to pick up where we left off. Again, I have my mom Jackie and my sister Bonnie with me that'll be joining me in on the story. So stay tuned and we'll talk more. All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned in. As I was saying, we're back to finish telling our story with another episode about the African American family and my family, my mom's family, my sister. So when we left off last, we were, I believe we were moving out of the home that we had, and we just moved into an apartment of Holy Temple, or were we about to move, or had we moved during our last episode?
I think we were just moving in.
Just moving in.
Yeah.
Yes. Just moving into Holy Temple. So we're moving into another phase of our lives. So I will have to ask you, Mom, how'd you feel about moving out the house?
Well, I was very disappointed because I really liked the house.
Mm-hmm.
I really did. I loved the house.
Mm-hmm.
But I also knew that we've been broken into 3 times, so I also understood that we had to go.
Mm-hmm.
It was hard to think about Luke because it was such a cute little house.
Yeah.
I really loved it. But, I knew we had to go.
Yeah.
So I was trying to make the best of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so during this time, Daddy had already enlisted for the Army.
Yeah.
Had he already left for the Army?
No.
Okay,
No,
he was just about to go.
He had enlisted. We got moved into the house. I mean, it was a townhouse.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we got moved in. We hadn't even finished unpacking. And like we moved in over, I can't even tell you the exact dates, but this was in early January. And it was like over a weekend. And they came and picked him up that Monday morning.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Boxes
still there?
Yeah, boxes. The dresser the mirror hadn't been put up. I remember I had to recruit you to hold the mirror while I screwed the mirror on to the dresser. Yeah.
So you got it real early, Mom.
Yeah. You did.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was very traumatic. I had to go to work. The car we had bought it broke down.
Okay.
And continued to break down. And I had to call your grandpa, your dad's father, to come and get me or take me where we needed to go. And then we went to, that's further down, but that car just constantly. But the day he actually shipped out, I mean, he was gone, but he was still in the city. But then when that next day is when he was getting ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the car, and I drove, they was down at the Greyhound bus station. And I drove the car down there, parked it in a taxi lane. Oh gosh, yes. And ran into the bus station to tell him goodbye, because he had wanted me to bring him some money for cigarettes, which I did. And I bawled out, cried, because he was leaving. And ran and got back in the car because I had to go get y'all from babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I got nervous, so I backed into
Oh my gosh.
a cab.
Oh,
And I went for it, and I ran back in the garage.
You want him to come back?
You can't go. And he came out, and the guy told me she was more, upset than we were. It wasn't nothing wrong with the cab or something. So anyhow,
you kind of lost it.
It was like it was just too much for me.
It was so much in one day, right?
It was too much for me. So it was something.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, the car continued, and Dad would take it and have some friend of his supposedly fix it, and then they'd say, "Okay, it's ready." We go pick it up, and it wouldn't start. It was just it was a big lemon. It really was.
Okay.
We had trouble with it for a long time.
So, sounds like that was a really trying time for you. And so,
yeah, it was.
Did you have any support?
I had friends that lived in the area.
Mm-hmm.
That's how we ended up over there, because lady I worked with had told me, it was a place you could go get an apartment. We moved over there. She's an older lady, loved her.
Mm-hmm.
We worked together, and then I had another friend that lived not too far away. It was called Friendship Village.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did have friends, and my cousin lived down the street from us,
Mm-hmm.
from where we were. And, let's see, I had other friends, some other people that, just friends.
Friends
Mainly
and family
friends
that you
and
had for
family.
support.
Mm-hmm. Help me out when things got bad, or take me to the store.
Mm-hmm.
And Dad was not too far from us.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would come over and do stuff, but when it came time for going to work and going to school, we'd have to go catch the bus, and we didn't have a car. So that was a trying time, because she had to take like 2 or 3 buses. I had to take 3 buses. They had to take 2 buses for y'all to get y'all to the I keep saying daycare, but it was really just a babysitter.
Mm-hmm.
Drop y'all off there, and then go run and catch another bus to get me to work.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And same thing in the evening. And a lot of times I could get Dad or somebody to pick us up in the evenings, because they want me out there at night with y'all. So, in the evenings, in the winter time, it gets dark. So.
But you sound like you had a lot of support, but then also felt alone. I would
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of feel
Because you had to
that.
figure it all out for yourself. And I had never had to do that.
Yeah.
I left home at 17 and married him, and we kind of grew up together and tried to figure it out together.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, I'm here, got to do it all by myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It was very hard.
And grandma?
Which grandma?
Your mother.
My mother, she was still in. She was in a nursing home still,
Mm-hmm.
over in Independence. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
she was still there.
Nana?
She was in the hospital.
Okay.
Yeah, she had been in and out of the hospital, but she was in the hospital at that time, mental hospital.
And when you're talking about Dad, you're talking about Daddy's
Your father's father. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And what about our grandmother, his mom?
She was still living.
Okay.
She was still living then. She had cancer, breast cancer, many, many years before.
Mm-hmm.
And then she started having some more troubles
Mm-hmm.
with it. And they said it went into her legs.
Mm.
So she had some struggles with that until eventually she got very ill. And your dad was gone, and I had to call Red Cross and call him and tell him that his mother was very ill, and they sent him home.
Mm-hmm.
So he was here during the last week or 2 of her life.
So let me ask you, so during that time, I know was that Daddy also had a brother that passed away. Did that happen before his brother passed away?
His mother? No, it happened after his mother passed.
His mother passed
After
away?
his mother passed away, a year later, his brother passed.
Mm-hmm.
But that, I don't want to glaze over it, but Grandma was a big part of the family.
Yes.
Yes.
So her passing had to be devastating for a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The whole family community.
She was like the matriarch.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
kind of a key person that gathered people, a key person that you
Yeah, she was one that went to check on everybody, visited everybody, you know, she was very family oriented, very family oriented.
Mm-hmm. I remember being a little girl, going with her to meetings and different stuff. You know, and it's just little flashes. I can't tell you a whole lot about it, but I just remember her being very community oriented and very civil service minded.
Yes. Civil rights.
Civil rights.
Civil rights. Yes. She had us protesting, and I remember sitting. We did it at the police station.
Wow.
And down in Jeff City sometimes.
Wow.
She used to take me and your my sister-in-law. She captured us sometimes to make us go with her sometimes and different things. You know.
Yeah. So her loss was huge.
It was to the family. It was very huge.
And then a year later, his brother died.
Yeah.
And he was killed.
Oh.
Yeah, he was shot in the back. It was horrible. When I had been gone and came home, and I got a call saying that my husband had been shot. And of course, I freaked out then. But by that time, your father called me, and he was at the hospital and told me that it was his brother, and it wasn't, but that his brother had gave his name when they asked me what his name was. And they used to do stuff like that. We deal with police, don't want to tell they all that. Especially if their brother didn't have any issues.
Trouble on his name.
So that's how that went. But it was horrible. Yes, it was a rough time too. And he was a big, you know, he was younger than your father, but he was a big part of the family too. Well, but they all
had strong personalities.
Very strong personality.
All of
big
them.
Presence.
Big presence. Every one of them. You can't single one of them out.
I can't say that. Yeah.
Each one of them it was all different. All of them were different, but they all had these really strong personalities.
Yes, they did.
All of his siblings did. Every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one.
They only had one that said she got a big presence.
She does. You know, all of them love her.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there was some trying times during that time, and I'm sure he suffered a lot, you know, losing his mother, because him and his mother were very close.
He's a daddy's girl. He's a mama's boy. He's a mama's boy.
He was. He would have never probably admitted it, but he was.
He was very well known in the community,
in the city,
in the whole city. Where I did a lot of work,
a lot of different organizations.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't know if they still have it, but that center in T.B. Watkins was to be named for her, and they ended up changing it to Judge Clymer Center, but they had a plaque down there dedicated to her for all the work that she did.
I think it is there. I haven't been there in a while, but I've
seen it. Yeah, it's on the door into the library downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a while since
I've seen it back then. It was many years later, of course. We'll talk about that later, but I ended up living in T.B. Watkins myself, and my grandkids ended up going to the daycare there.
It'd be interesting to see a name like that, and then they were like, that's my family, right?
Yeah, I talked to them about it. I showed it to my kids when we moved down there, so very proud.
I remember when their daddy went to the ceremony. They had a big ceremony downtown somewhere, and he went. I did have the flyer or whatever you call it, but over the years, I don't know what happened to him. Yeah, he was very proud, you know, they did that for his mother. Because she had been the president of the Tenant Association down there for 19 years. Like I said, she was one of the first families to move into T.B. They were, really. So she was well known.
So we had a couple of big losses there during that time after Daddy went to the service, and he was kind of back and forth on leave here and there. Sounds like he was here when things happened with our uncle, with his brother, and yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like when we moved into Holy Temple, that's when my memories kind of started. But I still don't remember a whole lot.
About
It's
them
just
too?
like, about Uncle
Yeah.
Harry, about our uncle, or, about
We didn't
grandma.
go around them a lot during that time. Once we moved away from the family, so to speak, we moved out into the house.
Okay.
We didn't see them as often as because we was living out south. And they felt like,
You think you
yeah,
you
you know,
Yeah.
moved out the neighborhood. And she was one that never believed in moving out of the neighborhood. She was gonna make it stick and stay where she was at. And most of them had too. If you think about it, most of them did. They stayed right there in the neighborhood. They didn't go very far. But we had broke the norm and went out, and the Holy Temple was still south of where we were. So yeah, we didn't see them very often. So that's probably why at your age.
At my age,
you were so young at that time.
I was, and I just didn't have a whole lot of memories, period. It's just like I have flashes of things or different specific targeted things, but not like a broader memory. Yeah.
I have pretty good memories about Holy Temple.
Yeah.
I remember some of my babysitters that, like, Mama, you in your 20s or so, I imagine. And she would go out with her girlfriends and stuff, and we'd have to go, you and I'd have to go to the babysitter. And the lady lived up the road, and she was an older lady, and and she had 2 teenage daughters and a son. And they were really good, nice people and everything.
I remember that.
You
I remember not all the time, but I remember those people. And I remember. Yeah, I remember.
And I remember
going to the babysitter.
She taught me how to do the Lord's Prayer. I remember she stood out for me because of that. She was very, much into
she was a
church
sweet
and sweet lady and everything.
Was such a sweet
and we had to get ready for bed, say our prayers. She made us memorize the Lord's Prayer. You you repeat it over and over again every time you go.
Right.
Then there was the other one, the woman I worked with. She lived not in our same block, but across the street from us. And she had kids and grandkids, and her grandkids were y'all's age. And so they used to come over, and her daughter, her teenage daughter, I'd have her babysit for y'all. So y'all got to spend time on.
I know what she's talking about there. That's a family that's tied to our family forever.
Yeah.
After many, many years, I ended up having a child by one of those children, one of her grandchildren, and we're bound together. And I met them when I was a really, really small child. And I remember him, and he has a twin brother, and I used to say they was both my boyfriends. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then many, many years later, ended up having a child by
it was a subconscious thing, Bernie.
I guess so. It was scars. Yeah. So we stayed there for quite some time.
Not really.
Maybe a year or two.
2 or 3, maybe 2.5 years.
2.5 years.
Yeah.
I learned how to ride a bike there.
Yeah.
I did. I remember.
But then you decided you didn't want to ride the bike no more.
I kept hurting myself and stuff.
I remember we got on the bike, and then she rode it, and then she was like, I put it over there, and
it was pretty dark purple.
Bike.
Yeah. It had the white basket with the flowers on the front
It
of
had
it.
some streamers on it.
Yeah, on the
handleboard.
Yeah. You had one too.
Yeah.
Yours was turquoise.
Green, like a turquoise color.
Yeah. And you
with the
banana seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after when you were learning, and I remember, you don't remember this, or maybe you do, rolling down the hill. So as you would come down the sidewalk and you ride your bike, there was this really steep hill at the end of the block. People used to slide down and play and all this other stuff. Girl, I feel it.
Is that how I hurt my ankle?
I don't know.
I'm trying to remember exactly where that happened, but I remember when we were in Holy Temple, but I feel like that was on my big wheel or something. No,
No, no.
Where I heard that because
you got that big patch on there, that big square patch. I remember that. I can't.
I was riding something. I wish my memory was stronger back then, but I hurt myself.
Yeah,
you hurt yourself.
I'm all scarred up, unfortunately.
You know me. Yeah, I like riding bikes and stuff, but I never got into it like you did.
Oh yeah,
you love bikes and stuff. I was just like,
yeah.
So when did we get you the three speed?
That was when we got older. That was when we were in the next place we lived in.
Oh,
yeah.
I thought we got that early. Okay,
no.
okay.
Yeah, you did later.
Because I remember her just telling me she knew how to ride the bike, and I kept thinking, she know how.
Yeah.
Okay.
She taught herself a lot of things.
Yeah, she did.
She was gonna learn, and she went and did it. And she
That's how I move.
Yeah. But I have a lot of good memories of Holy Temple, but just playing.
Yeah.
You know, that's where you would sit, and that's where, to me, where we talk about like playing jacks and games and stuff with Mama and hand games. We remember some, Miss Sue. Yeah, we do them hand games. Yeah. Mama taught us all them things.
Yeah,
We sit in the little entryway and play.
Yes.
And then I started like learning to dance. I remember this one day, Mama, she's at home. She was she was sipping and having a good time playing her music, and Disco Lady. You remember that song?
I remember Disco Lady.
Disco Lady came on, and I was upstairs somewhere. And she made me come downstairs and go dance. She wanted to dance
for her company.
Girl.
No,
it was behind me. Just her.
I remember sometimes dancing for company, like I was put on stage, but
she was just for mom.
I remember that. Was that the time of some of the kids from out there?
Yeah, and then they came in and they was in there looking at me dancing and stuff. And I like to dance and everything. I was just like, why you come in here and dance? And I don't know what I was doing, but I was getting down. And the kids was in the window looking and stuff. So every time I hear that song, I know we're going back.
That was one of my favorites.
It was classic. That was
I love it. Oh man.
Then I had girlfriends, like I said, I had several girlfriends that lived around here, and we would they had kids y'all's age, and so we'd get together, go over to their house, because they like to play cards, some of them, and we go there and y'all play with their kids, or we just go together, get together and do things, or have dinner together and stuff. So
now, grown-ups, now some of y'all remember how kids are not in the same room with the adults. That was a no-no in our generation. Right. You did not get to come out the bedroom. You better keep your butt back there and stay. And so if you didn't like the other kids in the room, tough luck.
Sit to the
you
side.
go sit to the side. Don't do nothing. You hope that you had somebody there that you could hang out with and have a good time with.
You can't even ask for no water.
Don't come up there.
kind of like child abuse.
Hey, it's just the way it was.
It's the way it was. You did, and then
I didn't feel abused.
I didn't either, but I was so bored and angry sometimes. I wanted to just go home. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'd be like, Mama, ain't time to go again.
Yeah. So when you dare to come out,
you dare to come out and say, next time we go again. I'm sleepy. But that was fun. It was always interesting and fun. Watching the adults, even from the corners,
peeping out
the bedrooms and stuff, and But I always remember good food and everybody having a good time. It was not a lot of drama or anything.
No
drama.
So I do always having a really good time.
Yeah. With your friends when we
being
go out.
upset or screaming,
no
fights,
like breaking out.
Y'all just be laughing, talking over each other, having a good time.
Yeah. I think it kind of set some foundation for us, even as a
that's what I was just thinking about.
I'm
like, well, I think I'm a really small child.
Yeah, you like have fun. And you ain't supposed to have no fun later. But that's kind of how we ended up as a young adult ourselves. We partied and did stuff.
Exactly where we did.
Yeah. And didn't have no drama and all that.
That's how you kicking.
If you got drama in our stuff, you got to go.
You gotta go. You don't get invited back.
You don't get to come back.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was good times.
good times.
And we used to go over to your uncles and your cousins them.
Yeah.
Because they lived not far from
Yeah.
us too when we lived in Holy Temple.
Yeah.
So, yeah, during that time is when I got pregnant with your sister.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So,
Baby sister Eva.
Baby sister.
She, I remember when she was born, or when you got pregnant with her, and it was just such a eventful time in our lives. But it's
It seemed like everything
was like going up fast. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
We went from just me and you.
Yeah.
And it was like,
And we were playing and having our little tra-la-la, you know, and all these things we've been talking about. Then all of a sudden we were in a whirlwind. Did everything kind of happen at once, or is that just
yeah, that's it. Well, like it.
Well, your father had came home for the weekend. We had went over to his uncle's house, their house, and we sat over there talking and whatever. And I was close to time. Came home. I started having pains, but he had to leave.
Leave to go where?
To go back to the
service. Okay.
Yes, he had re-enlisted.
Was he back at Fort Riley still? Or
Yes, he was. He had to go back to Fort Riley, and he had re-enlisted.
Oh.
So he had 3 years more to do, but they was giving him a bonus for re-enlisting. Well, I had started having labor. Well, that was on a Sunday night. He'd always leave on Sunday nights to go back down there, over there, wherever it was. And so the next day, when I got really bad labor, I had to call my girlfriend for her to come and get us. And I don't know if y'all remember, she had a little Beetle. Little blue Beetle. Little
Volkswagen bug.
Yes.
That's what I call them.
Yes, and her daughter and y'all too were in the back seat. It was in December. I remember it was snow on the ground, and we were going out. What street was that? 39th Street. And she got up to 39th and Cleveland. It was a gas station over there at that time. And somebody had a wreck. And she got up and drove across up on the sidewalk and went around them to get me to the hospital.
Oh, Lord, she got
And she got me to the hospital safe and sound. And I had her take y'all over to your Martha.
Okay.
Okay,
So,
that's how we ended up.
That's how y'all over there, because I mean, you know, that's what that's what I had to do. That.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had to take y'all over to your aunt's, and then when he came home later on that night, I'd already had her, but like I said, while I was in labor with her, she stopped breathing, and so you know they had trouble. And then the minute, not long after she was born, she stopped again, and so they rushed her over to NICU at Children's Mercy, and when he came, you know, he was all happy he has him another daughter. So how are both of my girls? And I had to tell him, you know, that she was at the hospital. He just walked out. You know, he went up to the hospital. Yeah, and that's where he kept a vigil over there. He kept a good vigil over there.
I think he will leave with the live.
Yeah. He used to go over there. Man, he always used to say, "She just too lazy to move." He'd go over there and mess with her and, you know, talk to her and stuff like that. So,
oh, that's beautiful.
yeah, he really was. And they took me over there once while I was still in the hospital. Back then, you stayed in the hospital about a week. And they took me once. And it was so hard because she had needles in her head and all over her body and her legs. And had her hooked up with all kind of machines.
Yeah, she wasn't no small baby.
No, she was hanging over the incubator. Her legs was big baby.
She wasn't no
smallest
huge
one
baby.
in our family.
Yeah.
But she wasn't no huge baby. Like our brother was bigger.
Yeah.
She wasn't like little bitty,
No, she wasn't
creepy
like
or
creepy or
nothing.
anything.
No,
Yeah.
she was like a normal
sized baby. She just wouldn't breathe on her own, and I don't know what it caused. You know, we thought maybe she was gonna have some kind of permanent damage or something. No, she didn't. But
blessed for
for
that.
10 days or 2 weeks, she was there. They had discharged me out the hospital and everything because while I was in there, back then, you were in a ward. You weren't in a room by yourself. So you might have 4 women in one room. And so when it was feeding time, they bring the babies in for feeding. What do you think about you? You sitting there with no baby. So you feeling, yeah. And I had been in hospital with y'all before when that had happened with somebody else. Their baby was stillborn or something had happened to their child. And I couldn't imagine how they felt. And then I did, you know. When
that has to be hard.
So it was very hard. So, yeah, when they finally let me out, then I spent all my time on the phone calling them until they finally told me I could come up and feed her. And so we go up there and feed her. And one time I was up there feeding her, and her doctor came through, and he had a bunch of other doctors with him, and he was talking about her, and he was telling them how far she had came, and, you know, that she was doing so much better. And he was like, if she keeps this up, I think we could probably let her go by tomorrow. And I was sitting there listening, you know. I ran in there for real. It was quite fun. Yes. And we got to bring her home. And they hadn't even given her her name. They still called her Baby Girl Rose. Yeah. So
you knew her name.
I knew her name, but they didn't put it on the paper.
She always had a name.
Yeah, they had.
So,
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I'm just thinking, and with that time, so, and then during that time we were still in Holy Temple and living there, because I remember I remember that part when she came home and I wasn't too happy because she was after, you know, we're 5 years apart and she stole my baby's shoes. So, I didn't want to stop feeding the babies, but you know, I grew to love her so much, but golly, at the beginning, that was not a happy time for me. I'm like, I'm over here! Why I keep looking at that baby? Right.
That middle child syndrome.
Yeah, I guess so. It's real. I remember that.
The thing that stuck out for me is that mama was gone.
Yeah.
And
we had to go and stay with our aunt and our cousins. And
our great aunt. She's actually our great aunt.
Yeah.
And she, and our cousins, and they males, and they
were older teenagers
and stuff. And they
pick on us.
Or just, I call it just normal. And their personalities are still this way.
Still the same.
I thought it was just like because we were little. But maybe they still view us that way.
One of them still treats us that way. You know who you are.
Yeah, he knows who he is. And one just don't live here otherwise.
Yeah, they probably do the same thing. Yeah.
But that was when during you said Daddy got that bonus and stuff, and he took us out, and we went shopping, and we you know, I call it, we got our little days of the week underwear.
Yeah,
we got our little pretty coats and all these other things. And while I guess because Mama wasn't home, and it was like we went shopping with him. It was different. It was different to be shopping with Daddy versus Mom.
Yeah.
You know, and so we were shopping with Daddy, and he bought us all this stuff, and that was something that I always remember too about Daddy is when he got some money, girl. He gonna spend it. He gonna
back in it. It was a good time.
It was funny,
So we were happy about that, but I remember us sitting there just so sad because we had to stay. We was like, dang.
The whole week.
Yeah, we were sitting in that little room, sitting on the bed,
watching TV. I had never watched so many Godzilla
movies,
things like that. The space type stuff. They
old school.
Yeah. And then one of the cousins, remember, used to call me Godzilla the Smog Monster.
Oh Lord.
Stupid stuff like that. You do that, so.
So what caused us to move? Did we move after? So we moved after that.
Your father kind of went AWOL after Eva was born. I think he was more concerned about her health and didn't go back. And he couldn't get me to move with him to Junction City or Raleigh. You know, I was working for HUD. I hadn't had a good government job, and I didn't want to lose it. I hadn't been long having it, but I wanted to keep it, and so I refused to go. And so anyway, he stopped going. When he stopped going with all the time before, I had to get an allotment every month from him, and he would send me money and stuff like that. Well, that stopped, and so then we was only living off of my income, which wasn't very much because I was still like a clerk typist. I think I was like a GS2 or 3 back then, and that wasn't very much.
You got 3 kids.
I got 3 kids to support on it, and we got behind in our rent, and very embarrassing to say, but one day one of the neighbors called me and told me that the people from the office were up there moving my stuff out and putting it in the truck. And
did they give you notice and all that?
they probably had. I don't recall it.
Okay.
That they have. If they had, I didn't know.
Okay.
Going to work, maybe I didn't see it. I don't know if your father saw it and didn't say nothing. Anyhow, it happened, and we didn't have the money to pay it, a past due amount. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I'm not blaming it on him.
No.
We both did it.
Yeah. Because I know in my own time, I put my head in the sand sometimes trying to say.
Especially when you were young.
Yeah.
When I was young, I was like, oh, it ain't
responsibility.
Yeah,
they get to be. And I can remember during that time while he was gone, that Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
me and my girlfriends, we had took our whole paychecks and just did Christmas. We bought y'all everything we could think of. I did anyway.
That's why I got that
she bought all her stuff and her daughter's stuff. Yeah, I remember doing that. And so that was probably part of that repercussion that it didn't pay the rent during that time. But yeah.
But how did you end up to the next place?
Oh, I'm sorry. When that happened, she called and told me. I broke down crying at work. My boss called me into his office to find out what had happened. I had to admit what had happened. And thank God I worked for HUD. And they called down to the housing authority and told them that I needed a place to stay and I had a family. And did they have anything available? And in a lot of these housing places, they have what they call subsidized apartments. And the apartment that they gave us an option. They had a house out on 39th in Chelsea, which I knew nothing about. But from where I lived at, in Holy Temple, 39th and Chelsea was not a good area. So I was like, no. And then they offered us Parker Square. Parker Square was a neighborhood I knew. Never lived there, but I knew the area. His family lived there, and he was always down.
I would have gone there.
Yeah, I was like, maybe he'll come home more night.
Wow.
So
it wasn't necessarily a positive move, but it was just a necessary move.
It was
a blessing at the same time.
It was. It was. Thank God I had worked where I did. They were able to help us. I mean, we were able to go get one of the other neighbors took the stuff out the truck and put it in her apartment.
Oh, that was nice.
And so we were able to go rent a truck and go move it all and take it down there. And I had to call y'all's babysitter and ask her.
Yeah, because it was just like all of a sudden we was there.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
We got a big surprise for y'all.
We did not move. We didn't get to participate.
We
did not participate in none of that.
It was like I was just uprooted and I was here now.
Exactly.
Blink. Like I Dream of Jeannie back in the day. I think that's one of the shows we used to watch.
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember I was like, we got a surprise
and so
for you.
Think about that. And so when we get to talking about the next area we move into, I think now that I look back on that, you kind of like, you weren't mentally prepared for your transition.
Right.
No.
And then thinking about where we came into, it was like, damn, what is it? We like in a foreign land somewhere.
Right.
You know, so at least when you're preparing
Yeah,
to move, you can kind of say, okay, I gotta go meet some new friends.
Right.
But you just wake up one day or go to the babysitter, next day you somewhere else.
And now you're in the hood.
Yes.
You're deep in the hood.
Yeah.
Yes. Where there you wasn't in the, it wasn't a slum or in the hood. It was just inner city, but
Yeah.
it was a nicer neighborhood where, you know, more housing around it,
Yeah.
private homes, and
Yeah.
people kind of took care of the places where they did stay. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well,
It was
we're going to stop right there.
okay. We'll wait till next time.
Yeah, because that's a whole other topic. So we're going to transition from Holy Temple Home to Parker Square.
Yeah.
Like, blink.
For you,
it felt like that for me.
When I hear the story again, and
Yeah.
it's like, you know, okay, I didn't know all those details.
Right.
You don't know it growing up. You
Good
didn't
to
know
hear
it.
it.
It is good to hear it.
And Eva was, what, 6 months old? when we
Wow.
moved in?
Yeah.
I feel like no matter what, if nobody sees these videos, even if our children or our children's children or their children someday stumble upon these videos, then they will be a blessing to them to hear the story, you know?
Amen. I agree.
Yeah. I check my notes.
All right.
Okay? And we hit all our topics.
Awesome.
They'll be proud.
Yeah.
Very good.
So next, I feel like with this video, if you are still with us, we thank you.
Yeah.
We really thank
We
you
do.
for sticking in there with us. But we are going to break now, and we'll probably do another session, but I have to take care of a few things before we start our next episode. But please tune back into our next episode because we are going to talk about, I'm going to call it, the adventures of Parker Square.
That's gonna be a couple episodes on this one too. I know it can't be one and done.
No. Parker Square is a story in itself. So you definitely want to tune back.
And we were there for many years.
7 years.
Yeah.
7 years. That was my neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's how long we were there. That was the neighborhood I grew up in, as far as what I think about it.
Yeah.
So I will say thank you guys again for tuning in and sticking in with us. And please come back. And until next time, peace, love, and light to you. Namaste.